Hi, today we are starting our program from my very special course. It's called Medical Clowning Course. I'll give you explanations and show you some of this course right after this, so don't go away. I'm part of a very unique course. It's called the Medical Clowning Course, and I'll give you some details if my friends here from the course will let me broadcast.
The world of medicine, doctors, and hospitals is filled with dry rules, formulas, and procedures. That is why the words medical and clowning don't automatically fit together. The movie Patch Adams tells the story of a unique doctor who believed that laughter can actually be a cure and a medicine.
Bottom line is your TV's broken.
Patch Adams became the first medical clown.
I'll be your surgeon. Oh, there you are. Hey, let's get ready to party!
Inspired by Patch Adams, a group in Israel started the medical clowning course. The course I attended was the second. Throughout the course, we learned magic tricks, ballooning, pantomime art, and more. But the main objective of the course was to get us connected to our inner clown. Be there. Express pleasure and enjoyment. Don't remind the patient that they are sick. These were some of the sentences that were repeated throughout the course. At the end of the course, we were sent to our first experience in the children's ward at the hospital. My partner and I visited 2 rooms, and from the moment we entered the rooms, we both felt that we were there just in order to have fun with the children. Now we have a 4-month training period, and at the end we will be officially licensed medical clowns. Looking through the Israel National News Archives, I found Shlomo Blas's report on the work of Shlomi, the medical clown who is the main instructor of the course.
Staff in the Meir Hospital in Kfar Saba are familiar with Shlomi Algusi. Algusi is not only experienced, but also specially trained for this mission. When Algusi pays his calls, the only thing that really seems contagious is the laughter which is suddenly shared by the patient, his family, and the staff.
אני לא חושב שכולם צריכים לדעת מה זה ליצנות רפואית. הם צריכים להיות שם.
I don't think everyone needs to know how to be a medical clown. They must be there with their love.
אני רוצה להיות רופא כמוהו. לא, אני רוצה
I
להיות
want to be a doctor like him.
So remember, sometimes just a spoonful of sugar or laughter helps the medicine go down.
It's a great feeling to make people laugh.
So, why did you come to Israel?
I'm here to help get some books published by Israeli journalists so that your story can be told to the world.
I'm here to study for a month at Mechon Hartman, the Hartman Institute in Jerusalem.
So that's my home. I came back home and I live here and happy to be here.
Welcome back. When we heard that Peter Himmelman, a well-known rock performer, was performing at Kibbutz Tzorah near Beit Shemesh, we said, okay, nice. But when we viewed Peter's website and saw Jewish quotes and philosophies, we said, we've got to meet this guy. Mark Kaplan went to rock and roll.
Peter Himmelman's story seems to be the average American story. A boy grows up in Minnesota and wants to be a rock star. He becomes a well-known songwriter, performer, and recording artist, becomes Bob Dylan's son-in-law, and writes music for a popular TV series. Nothing unusual here. Okay, but did I mention that Peter Himmelman is an Orthodox Jew? We caught up with Himmelman before his recent performance at Club Tzorah near Beit Shemesh.
I sometimes strive to see that God is evident in everything, and I say I strive to see that, and I rarely succeed, but it's a goal of mine. And in some way, the music that I write helps me to try to transcend the mundane. I used to play with a black funk band and a black band from Trinidad. I used to kind of think I wanted to be black. You know, everybody's searching for their identification. At some point, it ceased to be important for me to identify as myself with a black, something other than I was. It became somehow, it felt cool to be Jewish at some point. So, not that my music is overtly Jewish in any way.
As difficult as it is to be a rock musician and be religious, the tougher act to juggle is being a rock musician and a parent.
How old was I? About 28. I just had gotten married. It was sort of a honeymoon in Tashkent and Frunze, Alma-Ata, and we played all around the United States. But it was very difficult to go on the road as we started having babies and everything. So it kind of came into conflict a little bit. It's almost antithetical to being a proper husband and proper parent. But I do like to play music, so I never really gave it up.
Peter Himmelman was nominated for an Emmy Award for his musical contribution to the popular TV series Judging Amy. However, Himmelman has mixed feelings about the recording industry.
It's good when you make money playing music. That's actually a really good feeling, because essentially you're being rewarded for something that you would gladly pay to do in the first place. It's a very pleasant part of my life. I found it difficult, but the first album that I made that got signed to a record deal was a record that I made about my dad who was dying of cancer. It was a very emotional affair, very personal. I never had any aspirations that this record would do anything other than create a deeper bond between my father and myself, and he passed away shortly after I gave him the song. So it was a very emotional thing, and then you sign contracts about it, and you have lawyers meeting you, and some lawyers suing you, and whatever it is, all about a song that you wrote about your dad that was dying of cancer. So it's, well, what's the next song going to be about? Something emotional like that, It's kind of hard to get on that track and come up with that stuff repeatedly.
Himmelman has had a strong connection to Israel since he visited the Jewish state as a child.
It's essentially a family vacation, this trip to Israel that I'm taking now. It's a chance to come to a place that I really love. I love to come here. I like to play music, so any opportunity that I have is good. Also, we've come to train in karate, swim in the ocean, daven at the kotel, do this interview, eat some of the great cheese of Israel, and many things.
And Peter also came to Israel to do one more thing.
Actually, coming to Israel is a way to sort of get out of the common problems and the exigencies of the American music business, sort of come almost naively in sort of a pure spirit and try to make some music here, trying to get back to the basics of it all.
Okay, now we have on the line Rachel Zelenka from Toronto, who has an interesting story about her and Mark's wedding. When was it? What night was it?
That was on Thursday, August the 14th.
How are you doing, Rachel?
Good, Baruch Hashem, thank you.
So what's the story?
So the story is that our wedding was planned as usual, August 14th. Of course, we weren't assuming that there would be any blackouts, and everything was going as usual. I was getting ready at the wedding, doing photos, and all of a sudden, the lights went out, and basically, I didn't start freaking out just because that's not really in my nature. But so I asked my wedding coordinator what had happened, and she said that the electricity went out. So we assumed that it was just in our shul. But then we thought, okay, fine. If it's not in the shul, maybe it's just the local area. And then after that, we realized that it was in the entire eastern region of Canada and the United States. So we started a little bit to panic, And so what happened was basically everybody, the whole community came together.
Yeah, all the people you invited came. No one canceled because of the blackout.
A lot of people came. I would say definitely the majority came. Some came late. We did have a few people that couldn't come just because either they were stuck on the top floors of apartment buildings and they couldn't go down without an elevator, or just simply they were just caught in traffic. So a lot of the people that were supposed to be there with us for definitely the first part of the ceremony couldn't make it until the end.
Okay, I heard that the mood in the wedding was very special.
It was really something that you would say is magical. It was totally and completely candlelit, which really changed what you would say, like the environment. It really made you feel like you were in Jerusalem. People came out of that wedding thinking like, wow, like finally we can actually feel like a taste of Eretz Yisrael when you're in Chutz La'aretz. They brought in a choir from out of nowhere. They just called the choir. They had acoustic guitar and an accordion, were singing out their hearts just all night long, getting everybody involved. People were dancing like they've never danced before because they knew that they had to. They had to come together because otherwise the wedding wouldn't be a successful wedding. So everybody really pulled through. It was really an amazing thing. We had people coming in from off the streets giving us flashlights and candles.
So do you recommend a blackout and as part of the program for a wedding?
Everybody's wedding should be a blackout wedding, definitely.
Well, okay, so from all of us here at Israel National News, we wish you a mazal tov, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Yoni.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back in a moment.
What does the Western Wall mean to you?
I think it is very spiritual and it's very moving, and this is one of the reasons why we're here, and it's a very spiritual feeling.
It feels very spiritual. This is the center of our religion, the center of our people. We feel very safe, and we're just thrilled to be here.
It feels very, very nice to see what has existed for so many years, and so many people have been here, and it's very, very spiritual.
And now a festival in which the participants learn the Bible, the Tanach, through visiting the sites and meeting the culture of the Tanach.
I went to visit the Tanach festival, the Bible festival, that took place in the Elah Valley, which is near Beit Shemesh. First, I joined a group who were touring the Tel Azakah site and learning a chapter from Tanach as part of the Tanach festival. I met Ami Hirsch from the Keren Kayemet, the Jewish National Fund, who explained to me what the group was doing. We are trying to connect the Tanach and the land. Instead of only learning and reading Tanach indoors, you can absolutely go out. Whoever lives here or visits here can go out, tour the land, and find the beautiful stories from the Tanach by viewing the locations where the stories took place. From the Elah Valley, I continued to the Bell Caves of Beit Guvrin, where a unique convention was taking place, in which authors and writers read stories from the Tanach. The participants of this event were mainly non-observant Jews who feel connected to the stories of the Tanach.
And they invited 3 writers to talk about love in the Bible.
We came to enjoy the combination of great authors that we love, biblical stories that we love, and a beautiful place.
A celebration of old love stories from the time of the Bible.
I came because of the people that give the lectures. These 2 of them are my favorite writers.
It's not a religious event. It's a very Israeli event because this is the location where the stories that we're going to hear took place.
The intention is to bring all the people, observant and non-observant Jews, to the land, to the flavors, and to the culture of the Tanakh, in order to expand their knowledge. Except for the tours and the Tanakh reading convention, there were also musical events which took place as part of the festival. All the events related to stories and traditions from the Tanakh. The festival is called the Festival of Bible and Culture. We are trying to connect to the Tanakh in all different ways, not only by learning the text, but also by hearing the stories and learning the culture.
And now, like every week, Rabbi David Samson joins us from his office in Jerusalem. Rabbi Samson, at the beginning of the Shabbat meal, we have the custom of sanctifying the Shabbat by reciting a blessing over a cup of wine. What is the meaning of this custom, drinking wine at the beginning of the meal?
Shalom, Yoni. I'm glad you asked that. Shalom to all of our listeners and watchers around the world. I have to answer this question by beginning with a story that happened a couple years ago in the Ukraine. I was in a camp outside of Kharkov with a few hundred Ukrainian youngsters, and it was Shabbat. They really have no idea what Shabbat is about and what Kiddush is about, and I was asked to say a few words explaining what the Kiddush is. Because my Russian is not good, so I had a translator, and I knew that I couldn't give a long speech, and I was looking for something short that everybody would understand what is Kiddush. And I came up with a sentence, 3 words, and I said, Shabbos is vodka. And as soon as I said Shabbos is vodka, the whole camp started cheering and were just ecstatic with happiness, and they understood Shabbos is vodka, Shabbos is vodka. I felt that I got through. The basic idea of Kiddush is that since we work all 6 days and we're beginning this day of rest, so we inaugurate the day of rest with an alcoholic beverage. You're not allowed to drink on the job, but now that it's the day of rest, we inaugurate it with a sophisticated, important alcoholic beverage. And I don't know if I would use that as a rule of thumb that Shabbos is vodka, but for sure, when we begin with wine, we inaugurate the Shabbat. It's actually included in the 10 Commandments when it says, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho. Remember the Shabbat and sanctify it. We remember it by inaugurating it with the Kiddush ceremony.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Sampson. Okay, that'll be all for this week. Summer vacation is almost finished, and some of you haven't come yet to visit, so come on over. Israel is waiting for you. And before we leave, here's Peter Himmelman's insight to Israeli salad, literally.
Something, if you really want to know what I think like that, I would say that the pickles, they have these chamutzim, they're not in the metal cans, but they're in those like plastic jars that are refrigerated. Those pickles with like eggs in the morning, it's the greatest breakfast adjunct in the world. It's fantastic. I usually eat 3 in the morning, maybe 3 at night, usually 6 a day. And they're made in Israel. I'm supporting the economy.
Shabbat Shalom to all our viewers. Join us again next week.